The show is The Drawn Word. My name is Chris Irving, and the place is New York City. Our guest tonight is an innovative and experimental graphic novelist and animator by the name of Dash Shaw. You may know Dash's work from Bottomless Belly Button, Bodyworld, and the IFC Films animation, The Unclothed Man. Stick around, we'll be here soon. I'm here with Dash Shaw, cartoonist of Bottomless Belly Button, Bodyworld, and the animator behind The Unclothed Man. So how are you doing today, Dash?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So what I'm wondering is primarily your process. When you did Bottomless Belly Button, beautiful brown and white book, and it was drawn in seclusion in Richmond, Virginia. And then you followed it up with Bodyworld, which was a web strip in full color.
And that was serialized online because it took so long to draw Bottomless, and then it took a long time for it to come out. So I was really mad about just the time between drawing something and it coming out, and also I just wanted to do something serialized, but I don't have an audience enough to do a kind of monthly serialized comic. So I did Bodyworld online.
It's a very elaborate story, obviously. I noticed like many of your exchanges between characters and dialogue and so forth were just so, well, they were complex.
Thanks.
How far ahead did you plan it?
I planned the whole book out for Bodyworld. I think I had it in thumbnail form, in sketch form, but then drawing it, I drew like you would do a monthly comic book. So I don't think things changed very much. And then the book that I'm working on now, I actually wrote like a whole all-word script version of, and then kind of read it and looked at it and then thumbnailed the whole thing out and then drew it, and now I'm redrawing it. So that's a more, there's just different ways. All of them have problems with them.
Well, what were the advantages you found of putting Bodyworld online?
Well, you get a little excited to have something come out, but it isn't really that exciting. It's nice to kind of draw something and press a button and for it to feel done, but maybe it's not a good thing because then you don't have that time to look at it later and decide that it wasn't done. But it really more felt psychologically necessary at that time. You know, at different times you gotta just do what feels natural at that moment for you. Like after I finish this comic, I really want to do something more like that feels faster because I'm just sitting on these two long projects. But then, you know, then you do something different after that.
So what sparked the multimedia approach to Bodyworld? Because you did a lot of spot coloring, many animation techniques. What did you bring to it that you hadn't done before?
The colors I had been working on for a while that kind of grew out of working on acetate sheets in a way that kind of combined how comics were colored before and how animation cells are colored. And then it kind of combined that with Photoshop techniques, and Photoshop is based on acetate sheets. So the levels in Photoshop are based on, you know, actual sheets. So if you look at how magazines were made pre-Photoshop, each level would have been a plastic cell. And that whole history is really interesting, not just for the kind of nerdy technical stuff about it, but also because it really changes how people see things. And so before people could color correct photos really well, all of the illustrations, all of the magazines had illustrations. And then the techniques that they did kind of created standards of beauty, and those techniques that they chose were based on the printing process that was best for them at that time. So then when Photoshop, like photo correction became a lot easier for people, then people could really make women a lot thinner, or just all these different kinds of things. And so that changes how everyday people look at each other, because it's informed by media input. So Photoshop's super interesting, especially also color. Like now it's interesting if you watch a movie made in the 70s, there's so many more colors in because everything hasn't been color corrected. And a lot of the people who are color correcting movies now are sapping the colors out of the movie. So like everyone's in like a solid blue space or something. Everything's kind of looking like a weird, almost like a New Yorker illustration, or like that kind of, but not as good.
Right.
And so that changes people. I think it actually changes how people look at color in normal life.
So do you miss being able to look at color pre-Photoshop?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're talking about Photoshop, and it's, people, like everything's different. It's almost like this overly generated hyper-reality, so to speak.
Right. It's almost become like I watched the new a Resident Evil CG animated movie, and it looked more like the future of live-action movies than animation to me, because it seems like all of live-action has kind of turned into animation, with everything being, but kind of like a hyper-real kind of, like a weird, like this kind of bizarre form of animation where all of the hairs on a woman's head is correct, and not a kind of reductive form of animation like 80s, He-Man cartoons.
Yes, by Filmation with the rotoscoping.
Right.
But they hold up better than I remembered. Just watched those recently. Well, it's a good transition to The Unclothed Man. Was that your first animation project that you ever tackled?
I'd done like short animations that were just with markers on sheets of paper. And that actually came from Photoshop too, because you could make GIFs in Photoshop, so I would do that. And I always really liked animation, but I didn't like CG animation. And I thought I would need a kind of computer or a camera stand to make traditional animation. But then I just figured out that you can just scan the drawings and do traditional animation using the scanner as a camera, basically. So as soon as I figured that out, I started making a lot of them.
So tell me about shell games. Is it an extension of the experimentation you did on Unclothed Man? Or is it something entirely different?
I think you can tell it's made by the same person, but yeah, you laugh.
It's your style, man. It's very distinctive.
But no, we made a demo, but that looks really different than what the movie's going to look like. I think it's definitely like the kind of movie I want to see. So,
oh, yeah.
It's like my dream movie.
Well, it's feature length. So how long is your film going to be, and what's it about?
It's an hour-and-a-half movie. I drew an animatic for it, but it was kind of it went a little too fast, and it had too many things going on. So now I've pared it down, and I think it's going to be like a really exciting kind of family melodrama, like kind of adventure movie.
Like the preview had a rather Philip K. Dick feel to it, with this man being.
It has people kind of performing as other people, inside other characters inside of characters. And I think of it as kind of a really theatrical, like acting, like someone being possessed by another person. But it has a logic based in, kind of science that moves it more into a Philip K. Dick realm.
Do you enjoy animation more than comics? Is it an easy transition for you to go from one to the other?
They're both really hard. They both require so much drawing, and I kind of wish. I feel like I'm always like shooting myself in the foot or something. Like, why don't I just do something easier, or that just requires less drawing, or somehow gives me more like external rewards. It's more fun to watch an animation that you made than look at a comic you made. But a comic you have more control over, except you can have a lot of control over short animations. What's nice about animation is that you can watch it with other people. You don't get to see people laugh at your jokes in a comic.
Well, tell me about your other comic book project, the one that you're toiling away on at the same time as the animation.
That one is about, that one's called New School. I think it's going to come out in 2013. And it's about two brothers who go to teach English at a school where they're constructing a theme park that's devoted to different time periods. So like how Epcot Center is different places, Clockworld has different times, and so they're teaching English to the people who are going to work at this school.
That's cool. It's very World's Fair-y. 2013, do you have a publisher yet? Are you going to serialize it online like Bodyworld?
It's not going to be serialized. It's just going to be a book. I think Fangraphix is going to publish it.
So people can go to ruinedcast.com to learn more about Dash's new animation venture. Thanks again for being here.
I post short animations on it.
Kind of a making
just completely unrelated things.
So you're doing more animations on top of a fully animated
Yeah, I have drawn episodes of Blind Date and Wheel of Fortune that you can watch.
That is awesome.
I recommend it. Actually, my best work.
You cannot help but draw. Thanks again, Dash.